Hi, I'm Marie Elizabeth Molly, and today we are talking about how taking time for yourself can improve all areas of your life. Now, if you're watching live, go ahead and drop a hashtag live down below. And if you're watching the replay, I'd love to know that too. So drop that down below. Let me know if you can hear me. I want to confirm that this mic is working properly. So if you're here live, also please let me know that you can hear what I'm saying. If you're interested in receiving the show notes, drop that below, drop the word notes, give it to me, and I will make sure you get access to those. And lastly, if you're partnered or if you're single, drop the appropriate word in the comments to receive a link to my free assessment. It's a self-assessment that shows you super fast in about 4 or 5 minutes how your relationships are working, like what's working well about them and what could use your attention to be improved. So again, we're talking about how taking time for yourself can improve all areas of your life. I'm Marie Elizabeth Molly, and I help women transform the patterns that keep them from having the loving, connected, juicy, intimate relationships that they've always wanted. And part of the pattern that we're going to talk about today is this pattern of putting ourselves last, making sure all the other tasks and everyone we love is attended to before we actually take time for ourselves. And please drop a comment for me. Just let me know that you can hear me. I want to make sure that my audio is working right because I haven't used this mic in a minute. So I'm going to hang on till someone lets me know that they can hear me. And I'm coming to you live from New York City, actually from Brooklyn. And so please let me know that you can hear me because I don't want to get to the end of this video and find out that my audio was not working and I don't have a way to test it. Let me know. Let's go. Come on. Yes, yes, yes. So today we're talking about how taking time for yourself can improve all areas of your life. And can you hear me? Say yes. Someone, please. I see that you're here. Yes. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Thank you. Oh, and thanks for tuning in on YouTube. I really appreciate that. So, like I said before, it can be a habit. We can have a habit of putting ourselves last. I know for me, it's very common that I'll be like, oh, I got to get all these things done and tend to all these people before I can take space for myself, before I can take time for myself. And if that's true for you, I invite you to join me in the practice I do, which is to take time for myself first. And I'm going to give you 3 ways and reasons to do that to counteract any part of your mind that might be like, oh, that's selfish, or, oh, that's not, I can't do that because. So I'm going to tell you why it's so important in a minute. Because it can feel like a luxury to take that time, especially when you're stretched out, stretched thin, and you're stressed. You feel like you have to get more done before you can actually take some time. So the first reason it's important to take time for yourself first is by doing that, you communicate to yourself that you matter. When we're putting everybody else and everything else before our own well-being, what that communicates to us, from us, is that we don't really matter. Everything else matters more. And here's the thing, you matter. If you're not feeling well, if you don't have a body because you're not taking good care of yourself, then you can't actually love on the people in your life because you're gone. If you are not feeling well because you're run down and you're overtired because you've been putting everybody else first, again, you're not going to be able to be there for people as much as you could if you juiced yourself up first. So that's the first reason. The second reason is that by putting by making sure you take time for yourself and putting your own well-being in the forefront, you actually show others what it's like to care for oneself. So in that way, it's a generous act. Your mind may tell you it's selfish, but it's actually a generous act to do that because you're demonstrating to others how it could be. Culturally, we get all these messages that we have to do all the things and strive and hustle and put everything else first. And then that wears us down. This is such a beautiful comment here from Lisa. You are spot on. Women across the board do not put themselves first. That's exactly right. And so it's really something that we have to deliberately counteract and deliberately make a practice out of, make a priority so that we can better serve. Because it's a lot easier to serve from a juiced up, filled up place. Now, the second, I'm going to take this off here. Now, the third reason or way that taking time for yourself is worth it and benefits everybody and all your endeavors is that by taking time for yourself, by prioritizing self-care, whatever that looks like for you, it doesn't look the same for everybody. Not everybody wants to take a bath with a bath bomb. Self-care could mean you schedule more than 5 minutes between your calls. You schedule 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe 30. You make sure you have preparation time and recuperation time after calls. So you can take a break, get a snack, get a drink of water, go to the bathroom. So you're not constantly pumping. That's also a form of self-care within your workday. You don't always have to step away from what you're doing to care for yourself. So the third piece is by making sure that you're filled up, by making sure that you are demonstrating to yourself that you matter. You bring more energy and focus to the people you care about because you're full and you can love from the overflow. One of my favorite things that Lisa Nichols talks about, who's an amazing speaker, is she talks about loving from the saucer. And many of us are habituated to actually emptying our cup in the name of love, that we love from our deepest energy and resource. And her suggestion, which I highly recommend and often suggest to my clients, is to train yourself to love from the overflow, love from the saucer. Don't empty your cup for other people. Keep your cup so full that it's overflowing into the saucer, and all that yummy goodness, that love, that deliciousness then gets to flow out to others. Let me tell you, for sure, that love will always feel better to them than the love that depletes your life force because you have not taken care of yourself. I'd love to know, anyone who's watching, I'd love to know, is this easy for you? Is this hard? Do you have questions about how to change this habit, how to turn yourself away from the tendency to overgive, the tendency to put others before yourself in a way that's imbalanced? We get so many messages to do that. And I don't know about you, but I had a mother who was very self-sacrificing and really ran a lot of martyr kind of energy. And I had to undo that. I learned, oh, that must be what love is like. You martyr yourself. And then the flip side of that is that she was often resentful. And I could feel that. So in order to change that pattern in myself, I had to deliberately train myself to put myself, my well-being, my need to fill up first. And here's the thing too, some of us maybe have shame that we need to fill up. Like, I'm supposed to be this inexhaustible fount of love energy and not need anything. And you know, that's just a fallacy. That's again part of the messaging we receive that's wrong. And that creates a society of self-sacrificing, resentful women who I see all the time in my practice because they're running themselves ragged, because they're not taking time to juice themselves up. Some areas that you might want to consider shifting is if you're self-employed. If you have a job, then you're subject to the hours of the job. But if you have any measure of control over your schedule, take time to figure out, am I most creative in the morning? Am I most creative at night? When is my best time to be creating? And then guard that time. Don't schedule calls during that time. Actually mark that time off for yourself so that you can use your best time of the day to create your best work. Similarly, get to know your nervous system. Do you need to move? I mean, we all need to move, but is movement the thing that works for you? Is napping the thing that works for you? Is taking a bath the thing that works for you? Get to know your own system, dancing to your favorite song, masturbating, whatever it is that fills you up and has you radiate joy and pleasure and wholeness, because that will always feel better to the right people. The wrong people might try to pull on you in a vampire kind of way because they're trying to get something and they're not sovereign with their own energy. They're not being self-responsible with filling themselves up, so they try to pull on you. I'm not talking about children. I'm talking about adults here. Children by nature pull on you. They don't have the development that you need to do what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about today is really adults. So the right people will always appreciate you setting a boundary to take care of yourself so that you can come back to them happier, more filled up, more excited to see them, receptive, present. If you're running yourself ragged, it's very hard to show up with people in that way because resentment, exhaustion, depletion are all going to leak in. And it has people feel like they have to be on eggshells around you because you're not taking care of yourself. And then when you don't take care of yourself, it falls on other people to take care of you. Now, there's no problem with other people taking care of you. Obviously, when we don't feel well, you got to lean on the people you love who and ask them to be there for you. I'm talking about a normal, healthy day and a healthy week. And it's going to be a lot healthier if you make sure that you're taking time for yourself. Number one, examine your schedule. Where could you build in breaks, time for self-care? Number two, get enough sleep. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of sleep. All our bodily repair happens in sleep. Our brains recharge in sleep. And if you're not getting enough sleep, you can do everything else perfectly and your body's going to start breaking down. So those are some of the main ways that you need to think about taking time for yourself. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, eat well, move your body, check your schedule, build in time for breaks, for pleasure, for enjoyment. Get outside. Make sure you get outside on a regular basis because our skin needs actual sun. Doesn't need a lot of it, but it needs a little of it to reset the clock. I'd love to know if anyone has any questions. Drop them in the chat, in the comments, and I'll respond. And if no questions come in, I'm going to go ahead and recap. In the meantime, I wanted to let you know again that I have a great assessment for both partnered and single people that shows you super quickly what's working well in your relationships and what needs your attention to improve. So to get access to that, so I can send you the link, please drop the word partnered or single below if you want that, and I will get it to you after we're done. I'm going to go back to the comments here. Any comments? Again, if you don't know me, I'm Marie Elizabeth Molly. I'm a relationship transformation expert, and I help women transform the patterns that get in the way of having the loving, connected, and intimate relationships that they've always wanted. I have various ways that I do that. I have an intensive that I do, which is really in-depth support on a quick. It's a short-term commitment to really go deep on a particular pattern and shift it. And then I have longer-term commitments as well. And I also offer a retreat in Mexico that's coming up in January for people who've already done some kind of work with me, whether that's an intensive or longer coaching, or has done one of my group coaching programs in the past. Anybody have questions about taking time for yourself? Is this easy for you? Is this hard? What are the messages your head tells you that gets in the way? Let's have a conversation. Chime in the comments. There's probably a delay, so it might take a second for me to see it, but I would love to know what comes up for you around taking time for yourself, especially when you're busy. That's the most important time. It's the hardest time, but it's the most important time. Part of why this became so important to me to do was because I love to work. I have a really strong worker. I'm wired for work. I love work, and I love my work in particular. So a lot of times it's super energizing to me and can be hard to stop. However, I find that if I indulge that love of work and allow that to set my schedule, eventually I start to burn out because I have to recharge. And as energizing and wonderful as my work is, recharging happens elsewhere, because in my work I'm giving a lot. I'm chatting because I'm waiting for any comments to come in. Any questions or comments about taking time for yourself, where it's easy, where it's hard, what kind of things juice you up? So I've discovered that for example, I used to always wait to take a bath till the end of the day, like after work, right? And lately I've started taking baths in the morning, and that just feels so luxurious, because then I can show up to my calls all yummy and soft, and I've taken time for myself, and I have things I put in the bath that I really love that feel good on my skin and that smell good. And that's just a small example of a shift I made in my schedule. I don't take a bath every day before work. I don't make a rule out of it. For me, what's actually pleasurable is to feel in the moment what would feel good, rather than making a rule. Because anytime I make a rule about something, first of all, 9/10 of me then don't want to do it. They want to do something else immediately if I make a rule. But also, then it becomes rote and it loses its power. It becomes an obligation. And the whole point of taking time for yourself is that it not be an obligation, that it be nourishing, that it fill you up, that it be pleasurable. Because the more you can learn to move from pleasure in your life, the more it benefits everything. And even when you're doing something that you're obligated to do for work, say, or for a family member or something, look for the pleasure within it. Maybe you didn't get to choose doing the thing. Maybe it was something you said yes to because it's what needs to get done. But you can find some pleasure within it, even if it's pleasure in being a person who honors your commitments. That can be a source of pleasure. You can find pleasure in so many ways if you train yourself to look. That's a different video, though. Today, we're talking about taking time for yourself. So if there's no questions popping in, I'm going to go ahead and recap. Today, I'm talking about how taking time for yourself can benefit all areas of your life. And this is something we know, right? We know this is important, and it can be really hard to do when you're busy. It can feel like a luxury. You can put it to the end once you get all your important tasks done. And I'm saying to turn that on its head and take time for yourself first. The first reason to do this is that you convey to yourself that you matter, which impacts everything else you do for the better. If you're coming into your interactions knowing that you matter, if you come into the work tasks of the day knowing that you matter, the whole energy shifts around what you're doing. You show up powerful, you show up clear, you show up centered. It's easier to set boundaries when you know you matter. So that's step one, or way one. Number two, you show others, when you take time for yourself and you make boundaries around that time, you show others what it's like to be a person who cares for yourself, which gives a template to them to try it for themselves, to learn how to do it for themselves. So if you have any kind of voices that tell you it's selfish to take time for yourself when other people need you, you could flip that by considering it a generous act, because you're giving them a template for how to take care of themselves better too. Number three, you'll bring more energy and love and focus to the people and the tasks you care about because you're filled up. As Lisa Nichols says, it's important to love from the overflow, from the saucer. Keep your cup full, so full that it's overflowing, and then love others from the overflow, from the saucer. And I guarantee you that loving like that is going to feel way better to them than emptying yourself out in the name of love. I'm Marie Elizabeth Mali. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you want the show notes, drop notes below and I will make sure you get access to that. And until next time, remember that a great relationship starts with you.